Welcome to the College Football Show presented by AT&T. A bend but don't break week 7 so far. We've seen a couple of teams push to the brink. Penn State able to go on the road, pick up a win against USC in overtime. That one was really tight. USC let that one get away. Also, Alabama again for the second straight week. A lot of questions down there in Tuscaloosa with a big one coming up in Knoxville next week. But we're going to start here in the Big Ten because we're starting to see some things shake out in that conference. We mentioned Penn State earlier today. How about the big one up there in Eugene? College Game Day was there. Early start, a 10-play, 75-yard drive for Ohio State. They score and get up early, 7-0 on Oregon. Great atmosphere, guys. What are some keys that you're looking at in this one, Matty?
I'm just looking at Chip Kelly in this offense. I think they're, like you said to me earlier, did you know that they are 100% in the red zone right now this year? And that, hey, that means they're pretty good in the red zone. So the red zone efficiency, right, that's something that, you know, we've seen be really productive for them. We know that Jeremiah Smith and Becca Buka are playing phenomenal football. Quinshon Junkins just fumbled the football for Ohio State, so early turnover gives Oregon the short field. Overall, though, like those are the keys for Oregon. Can you cause turnovers? Can you win at the line of scrimmage on both the offensive and defensive line, right? And can you give Dillon Gabriel enough protection so he can make the right decision because he is a great decision maker and accurate with the football?
Yeah, that whole East Coast team traveling to the West Coast has become a real thing this season. 1-8 for teams that are traveling from more than one time zone. And what I'm really keeping an eye on is Ohio State in general. You really haven't played against a team where I've gotten to see who you are as a program this year with the highest paid roster in the entire college football world. So my question right now is, and I'm going to toss this to you, Sam, which team is under more pressure to win this game? Is it Ohio State or is it Oregon?
To win this game, I think a lot of people at the outset saw the talent that was on Ohio State's team. The best roster money can buy, as they say, right?
Yes.
They bring in Quinshon Judkins. They have the quote-unquote best running back room, Jeremiah Smith. So I think Ohio State and Ryan Day are under a little bit more pressure to win this game. But we have also seen Oregon last year, twice against Washington. They had opportunities to win the Pac-12 last year, right? And just couldn't come up with some of those big plays and explosive plays. But I don't know. What do you say, Matt? I think
it's got to be Ohio State. It
Yeah.
has to be. You know, we're excited for Dan Lanning. We know that he's building a really strong program there. He's recruiting extremely well. We love the way that he kind of just carries himself and his attitude.
Right.
Ryan Day, he's been there, right? But every year they found different ways to kind of come up short.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those years where, like, come on, man, like Nick Saban's gone, right? The SEC, who the hell knows what's going on?
Sure.
This is your time, right, to really establish yourself as, like, that next dominating team. So I think a lot of pressure on Ryan Day and this team to perform well. And really, Oregon, they haven't played anybody either, you know, to the extent
Boise State.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Which they struggle with.
I know.
They needed a couple of kick returns to win that game.
I get it. Boise State, I know, but I'm not expecting Boise State to be a national champion at the end of the year.
Fair.
You know,
fair.
so that's why I'm saying that, you know, and you're right. Ohio State, they haven't played anyone even to Boise State's level yet this season, but that's the question mark for both.
Yeah, and we're watching this game live as it's going on. Just a big play happened in the Ohio State game. Oregon was able to score, but then on the extra point, they weren't able to convert. So it is 7-6 Ohio State still. Those are the little things that are going to make the biggest difference in this game. But Ohio State definitely has more pressure to win because now is a chance. Michigan is no longer in your way. This is your opportunity to step up in the front. And they're my pick in the preseason to win this whole thing. You have all the pieces that you need. At this point in time, all I would say is I just need to see what you got at the quarterback position because for me, that's where I see the question marks for Ohio State. Do you have the quarterback that can run and gun at the same time? But then it almost looks like Ohio State took a page out of Michigan's book from last year.
How so?
Let's just have a strong defense.
Right.
Let's have a good running game and a quarterback who can just game manage and run the ball if we need to with an extra blocker.
So Oregon gets officially baptized into the Big Ten waters today by playing Ohio State, right? But I do want to ask, because we do know the game's going on, guys, and folks in the YouTube chat, please let us know your thoughts on this massive monumental game in the Big Ten. But how big of an impact does the outcome of this game have on the Big Ten race? Because I think you're looking at the two favorites right here. And, oh, by the way, this might be like just one of 3 times that these two teams play this year, right?
I don't think that it's as big of an impact as we've seen in the past, right? I mean,
Okay,
the state of college football right now is, other than Texas, I would say that it seems like everyone's going to be taking an L this season.
Yeah,
right? At least
some
one.
point, yeah.
At least one. And honestly, for all of us, for football fans, like the days of, oh, we're going to go undefeated and we're going to just run over the whole nation.
Yeah.
I think those days are over. I think that teams are getting better. There's too much talent across the country. Coaches are too good.
Yeah.
It's too difficult for these young men to be on point each and every weekend, right, with the competition that they play. So for today, I don't think we have to be overly concerned with who wins or who loses, other than the fact of, hey, if you win the game, great. But if you lose the game, you got to learn from it. You got to get better next week and build off of that. Because Clemson, to me, one of the most improved football teams, that early loss has really, I think, taught them a lot of lessons about who they are and who they need to be a championship football team.
Yeah.
So it's not the end-all, be-all tonight.
Yeah, and not to jump over to Clemson completely, but you saying that reminded me of Alabama last year when they lost their game against Texas, because what did they do after that? They continued to improve. And although we got to the point where we had to pick 4 teams to go to the college football playoff, everyone could agree that this team, even though they have 1 loss, has improved tremendously throughout the season from that loss itself. So seeing this matchup in the Big Ten is going to be very interesting to see how is a team going to learn and improve after the loss. Because in the Big Ten, right now we know that Penn State is up there. And they took on USC. So let's go ahead and jump to that game with the highlight. And we'll pick this up real early after Penn State went up 0 after a field goal in the first here. Quinn Ewers gets a rock, and he hustles more than Rick Ross in Port of Miami. Hustling real hard. Gets in there for a 75-yard touchdown. They get up 7-3. We go to the second quarter now. USC is in the red zone. Miller Moss tosses this to Quinton Joyner.
Love it.
Give me that. He gets in there for 6. They lead 14-3. A few field goals later, they lead 20-6 at the half. And the difference here, Sam, was the amount of success USC was able to have against this Penn State
They were
defense.
gashing them, right? And early on, like, this was a Woody Marks show. Let's get on the ground. Let's pound this thing. And up to this point, I think Penn State was, like, one of the best rushing defenses in the entire country. They were also one of the best pressure teams in the entire country at getting to the quarterback. And I think at least up until the end of regulation, we didn't see a single sack for Miller Moss.
Yeah, and what's really concerning too is that Penn State was just like super undisciplined with stopping the run. And even the broken down play where Woody Marks sprints out to the right, he's about to throw it back to Miller Moss. He just takes off and runs. Just the undisciplined nature of Penn State on defense really showed up multiple times.
Yeah, in the second half, Penn State came out and got tricky like Run DMC. Double pass with Drew Aller to Tyler Warren for 6.
This guy,
unbelievable.
44. I mean, you just got paid today, son. I'll just tell you that much. You are on your way to the National Football League.
17 catches, 224 yards, and a tug. And then Penn State would get it back and punch it in with Katron Allen. He had 56 yards rushing. Penn State would tie the game at 20 after that. It would end up going 23-23 at halftime. But it was a great comeback by them to be able to play that way.
Completely dominated the third quarter of this football game. Right? In the first half, Penn State couldn't do anything right. Third quarter, they absolutely dominate this game. Right? I want to say that they scored maybe, what was it, 20 unanswered in that, right? So you just said it, actually. So that's me not really paying attention to you enough, Skubie. I apologize. But it was just unbelievable how well they played in that third quarter. We saw a lot of different passes and concepts, right, from Drew Aller and Kolanecki, which I think is really exciting and good, right? Going forward, though, they need to be able to at least be more balanced offensively and stay patient with the running game to control the tempo of the game and to help their defense out, too.
I thought it was interesting, too, and we talk about all the time, coaching makes a difference, right? You always say that. And you mentioned Andy Kotelnicki coming over from Kansas. Well, Kansas last year was top 10 in explosive plays of 30 or more yards. I think they had 39 plays of 30 or more yards last year at Kansas. So they bring him in. Penn State, by the way, only had 19 plays of 30 or more yards all year last year. You know how many they have now? 13. And we're only halfway through the season. So clearly the coaching has made a difference for Drew Aller. And I think it's given him some more confidence this year.
It definitely has. And just the way that he's played. Now, listen, he made some really bad decisions today.
No doubt.
Bad
especially
decisions.
Especially early.
Right? But He did a good job. He kept fighting, right? And that's what we want to see. We saw with Nussmeier earlier in the year. He struggled in the game, but he kept throwing. He kept slinging it. Overall, though, like Drew Aller did a good job fighting.
And this is in the third quarter. This is Miller Moss to Kyron Hudson. That's a touchdown. And then in the fourth, Drew Aller, he hits Nicholas Singleton here for another touchdown. Aller threw for 391 yards and 2 touchdowns. But you spoke about those interceptions, Matt. Yeah. They were huge. But here, tied the game at 30, and we would head to overtime, right? Drew Aller, 3 interceptions in his entire career, had 2 in this game, but able to fight and come back. And in overtime, USC got the ball first and missed their first field goal, which is real costly and poor clock management at the end of the fourth for them. And then Penn State gets their chance here to kick the field goal. And here we go. It's good. Penn State wins, stays undefeated. Franklin gets that monkey off his back of not being able to win those big games against teams that are ranked. And an absolute huge win for Penn State going forward. Now, there was some outrage from USC fans on some missed calls and some pass interferences that may or may not this
is the truth of it. This is the truth. Don't be mad at the refs. Be mad at your head coach. The clock management at the end of the game was absolutely awful. You have 3 timeouts left, and you waste all that time when you get to midfield. That's embarrassing. You got to be better than that, all right? You're the highest paid person in that organization. You need to do a better job. Don't blame the refs. Blame yourselves. Manage the clock better. That's one thing that I've seen in college football this entire season. Clock management, South Carolina versus Alabama today. It was awful, all right? USC, clock management, it was awful today. You lost because you're not doing the fundamentally things that are important at the end of the game to win them. You have a really good quarterback. You were playing good offensively. You need to manage the clock better in those situations. You have 3 timeouts.
Look at that. Look at that.
You can't take them with you to the next game. Use them.
USC
all right?
cycle.
Use them. So, that's just my take on that.
We're gonna talk a lot more about USC and
just drives me nuts.
Save it because we got a lot more to get to when it comes to Lincoln Riley and the questions to be answered. I do want to ask about this gadget player that Penn State has in Tyler Warren because very unique. I know they list him as tight end, but he took in a possession. He took a snap at quarterback, rushed, caught a pass, caught a touchdown. He's doing he's an All-American for them.
He's Brock Bowers. That's what I see. He's Brock Bowers for this football team, and what he did today was he's thrown a touchdown pass this season too. Right? So it's just like it's crazy. How did you say that before too? Because I gotta pay attention more. But it is unbelievable how well this guy played today. And you think like the USC sideline, they're like, hey, what do you think? Stop 44.
Maybe we should cover him at some point.
This is where, again, coaching matters. Andy did a great job throughout the football game, finding creative ways to get him the football consistently. And you could just see that Drew Aller, it's one of those situations, when he's covered, he's open.
Real quick, so you see the schedule right now for Penn State. They got Wisconsin coming up on the 26th, and then they got that Ohio State matchup, something that's really interesting going forward. That Ohio State-Penn State game could end up being number 1 versus number 2 if you think about it, which could be really interesting. But I'm looking in our YouTube chat right now, and just a heads up to everybody in our YouTube, I'm keeping up throughout the whole show, so join the conversation. And there's a question, more so a comment here by one of our viewers. He said Penn State is not a top 3 team. Do you agree or disagree?
I think I agree with that at the moment. I don't think they're a top 3 team. Today, what they did defensively was a little disappointing. Now, I know Lincoln Riley is an offensive mastermind, all that kind of stuff, but there were very simple concepts that I feel like they got exposed with over and over again, right? And it wasn't anything monumentally challenging, right, for defenses. So Abdul Carter played extremely well, but they don't do enough, I feel to pressure offenses into their favor, right? And to me, I'm always, you've heard me say this all the time. Defense to me is super important to be a championship football team, and I think right now Texas is the only one that plays great complete team defense.
Again, I think we had a lot of questions coming into this game. How would this young offensive line for USC hold up against Penn State? Because to be quite frank, maybe the 2 best prospects on that field today were Abdul Carter and Danny Dennis-Sutton for Penn State. Those 2 guys on the edges, on the left and right side, and they kind of got shut down today, and it was a little bit eye-opening for a team that was really tight with Bowling Green at one point in the season.
And there was one play, too, where Abdul Carter dropped an interception over the middle. That really would have been kind of one of those situations where Penn State would have immediately taken momentum back of the football game, because that was when they were still kind of picking it apart. But the key is that it's a gritty win. This is a win in the past that they would normally, or a game in the past that they normally would have lost.
Yes.
So that's the key.
Really good point.
The key to take away from this is that the offense, when they need to, can actually burden, and take over and win games for this team. Where in the past, they absolutely would have lost this one. They were trying to find ways to lose it today, right? And we know James Franklin, we're very critical of him and what he's done. But offensively today, his offensive coordinator, the big hire that he had this offseason, really took over and saved the day for them.
It's funny, too, because when we talk about Lincoln Riley, generally speaking, when they are leading at the half, they are winning games.
That's right.
16-2 when they are leading at the half under Lincoln Riley at USC, which brings us to our next segment, which is Can't Take the Heat, built by the Home Depot. Lincoln Riley brought in to USC to try and revitalize a USC Trojans program that had not really been relevant in the Pac-12.
Right.
You got to go back to Clay Helton years in 2017, the last time they won a Pac-12 title. So, with the move to the Big Ten, how much time are the USC fans, the administration there out in LA, going to give Lincoln Riley to get this thing up to speed where they are competitive in the Big Ten at trying to win a conference title? How much time is he going to get, guys?
Time's running out. That's what I'm going to say, because this is yet another loss for Lincoln Riley while he's leading in the fourth quarter. They have 3 of those this season, and in his first 2 seasons, the Trojans had 3 losses like that as well. So for Lincoln Riley, your fourth quarter management was poor. The way that you handled this game was poor. And the only thing that I can look at in the Lincoln Riley era for a USC team is your Heisman winners. What else have you been able to accomplish? It's very mid right now. 3-3 team. You lost against a Michigan team that just lost to Washington, and Washington just got smacked by Iowa. So now as you continue to look at those things, how good are you really over the course of the season if you continue to lose these games that are really going to turn your program around and make us look at you different?
By the way, those are just Scubie's crutches that are falling down in the studio. So here's something I want to ask, because I actually just thought of this. The USC feels a lot like Kentucky men's basketball to me under John Calipari.
Explain.
Okay, you get a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
You get Caleb Williams, you get all these talented players, and yes, they're young. But at the end of the day, the fans want to see you win conference championships. They want to see you win national titles. So that's all well and good that you see guys playing in the NFL coming out of USC, but you want to win games at the end of the day. And Coach Calipari's now coaching at Arkansas because they weren't winning titles.
Like 11-10 in his last 21
There's
games.
A few things, though. That's crazy. First of all, that's an unbelievable stat, 11-10. That's not good, right? But key for me right now, Lincoln Riley football teams, I hate to say this, but they lack just toughness. That's really what it comes down to. It's just when are we ever going to be the tougher football team that's out hitting them? Now, they showed that once. They actually out hit Michigan, I thought, earlier in the season. But it's not a consistent theme of this football team. The other thing is SC, Washington, right? Everyone else who joined the Big Ten, you're not used to playing this style of football. Now, today is different. Penn State actually played the style that you're used to. They passed the football, right? They had 518 total yards, 400 passing, 118 rushing. But a week ago, Minnesota, they said, we're going to run the football right down your throat, okay? And, that's the problem. I just don't know if they have the personnel to match what the consistency is demanded of in this Big Ten conference at the moment. So I think those things take time, and we'll see if Lincoln's given that grace period to build a team that is appropriate for the new league that they play in.
I just kind of wonder, can you actually win that way? Can you win the way that Lincoln Riley has built teams in the Big Ten? I don't know, but from today, it seems like the answer is no. And they actually did get a lot bigger in the offseason.
They did.
I still think that team's young, and they're going to get better.
They're going to get better. They absolutely are. They have shown improvements this year. They've had a few tough losses, right? But even a great win to start the season against LSU, right? But week in and week out, I think there's too many explosive plays. There's no doubt, right, the defense has improved.
Yeah.
But you're kind of finding new ways to lose, though, every game.
Yeah.
And that's concerning, too. And ultimately, where does that go? That goes all the way to the top to Lincoln.
All right, speaking of can't take the heat, Alabama and Coach Kalen DeBoer are going to be taking a whole host of heats this week from reporters down there in Tuscaloosa. They were hosting South Carolina, coming off the biggest upset of the year to Vanderbilt. And for about 3.5 quarters, Bama fans were hyperventilating at Nick Saban Field. Jalen Milroe here early, finding Cole Adams. He takes it down to the South Carolina 4-yard line. First and goal, Alabama. Their first drive was probably one of the best drives they put together the entire game. They go up 7-0. They make a statement. They make a statement here. Yeah. But then Lenore Sellers and South Carolina get going. And Sellers going to go deep here, finding Mazio Bennett Jr. for the touchdown.
Great play design here. I mean, wide open. DB got caught looking, and it was a long developing play.
Gamecocks feeling the pressure a little bit here. I don't know.
Oh!
Matty, it felt like Jalen Milroe felt like he had a force.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he's really just not playing great right now as a passer. He's struggling to see the field cleanly, and that was an unforced error right there with the safety in the end zone. And then here he comes again, Jalen Kilgore, who is a phenomenal football player for South Carolina. Made a great play, but why are we throwing the football in this situation with 10 seconds left before half? But that's just me.
Gamecocks go into the half, down by 2 points. Here's Sellers now in the third quarter. Oscar Attaway.
Same play that Vanderbilt ran all day against you. That's a concern.
Here's Rocket Sanders, who looks like a totally different running back than his days at Arkansas, now playing at South Carolina. And here come the Gamecocks. They have the lead, 19-14. Milroe looking for a touchdown here. Here's where things get really interesting.
What a pick. He baited him. Real good there, too.
Great job.
And then on the ensuing drive, Sellers taking the handoff. The fake handoff, and we're fumbling the ball here. This was a lifeline that was handed
South Carolina had
to Alabama. Yeah, this was a lifeline.
That was the play, honestly, that they'll look back on film and say, this is the reason why we ultimately lost the football game right there.
Milroe calling his own number there. Here we go. South Carolina trying to tie it. Alex Harris.
Another mistake.
Nowhere close. Nowhere close.
You fumble. You miss the field goal. You were given a safety. Come on, man.
Milroe going to find a wide open Jeremy Bernard here.
3rd and 10, y'all.
We're going to break this play down a little bit later in the playbook, but we said it. Jeremy Bernard has kind of been that second wide receiver when Ryan Williams is in double coverage. South Carolina not going away easy, though. Sellers to Nick Harper. He was ruled out of bounds, but after replay review, he got that foot in.
Heel, toe, and slide. Way to get that in.
All right, so South Carolina now looking to tie the game. Sellers rolling to his right, had a man open. Q Robinson saved that day, though. We're going to break that play down as well later on.
Hero, baby.
Alabama. But hold on. The game's over for sure. No?
Look at the English. Look at the English.
South Carolina recovers it. We got another chance here. 13 seconds left, down by 2. Sellers airs it out, and it is picked off. This was a near safety, by the way.
My boy thought about it. He hit a little 1-2 step, and I was like, wait a minute, that might be a safety.
That was just a little dance move. That's all it was. But Alabama, interesting right there. You know, really didn't try to pressure all that much, I feel like, throughout this football game. Yeah. But in that situation, when cover 0 3 plays in a row, if Lenore Sellers just throws something like a slant or an easy throw underneath there, they're going to give up an easy completion to give South Carolina a chance to maybe kick another long field goal or a shot at the end zone there. So it paid off for them in this one, but better quarterback, better passing attack going forward. Teams pick that apart.
So last week, you know, they lose to Vanderbilt, and we're all kind of wondering, well, was it a fluke or is this more of a systematic problem within the Alabama program? They come out today with a chance to really say, yes, it was a fluke, but no. It does seem like there are some fundamental problems with this Alabama team. The panic meter has got to be up north of 1,000 in Tuscaloosa right now. But if you could sum it up, you know, succinctly, Maddie, what's wrong with Alabama?
I thought that as the season was progressing, especially at the Wisconsin game, that we were going to start to see a little bit more. And you remember I made this comp, right, of like Alabama being like the Baltimore Ravens of college football. I don't see that enough. I think they really need to be more aggressive with Jalen Miller running the football, Jam Miller, getting advantageous looks with them, being physical between the tackles, right? Because Jalen's an unbelievable physical presence when he runs the football. and then building out their passing attack from there. Yeah. I feel like they're trying to be too aggressive just as a pass-first team, and it really is not playing into their favor. And I think it'll help the offensive line, too, who struggles in one-on-one situations against a talented defensive line in South Carolina. To win those.
And you saw that against Kalen DeBoer, especially in the second quarter when Alabama started to go pass heavy. Yeah. So the pass rush now knows what you're doing, and they're coming to the quarterback with some relentlessly, and they had 4 sacks on Milroe in the first half. And Milroe ended up having 2 interceptions, and one of the sacks that he got right here that you're seeing led to a safety and points for South Carolina. Yeah. So that's where they really need to clean some things up and just balance out their offense. And Kalen DeBoer, once again, as I mentioned, brought that up of how they need to mix it up a little bit. Show more run, show more pass. But what I got to really see for Alabama today, which I believe is a continued problem from their loss against Vanderbilt, is penalties and turnovers and just dumb mental mistakes. It's what they continue to do, and especially in their secondary, and now they're dealing with even more injuries. Domani Jackson, he went down with an injury, so now you have more freshmen out there that you're having to rely on.
He did come back and make the interception late in the game, so he did return, but hopefully it's not a severe injury. Yeah,
so the penalties for Alabama was a concern for me.
My biggest issue with Alabama is, all right, Kalen DeBoer, you're replacing a giant. There's no doubt about that. We know that, okay? The greatest coach of all time. Yeah. But their defense is not Nick Saban-like defense anymore. And that really was the cornerstone of this program. That Nick Saban, the intimidation factor of the defense. Don't worry, we're going to play really physical defense. We're going to get after the passer. We're not going to let teams run. The fact that South Carolina outgained Alabama in both passing and rushing today is a concern for me. So too many 3-down looks by Alabama. They need to go to a more of a 40 look, I feel like, on their defensive front.
Real quick, we're going to get to Texas, Oklahoma in just a second. Are the problems for Alabama fixable?
They are fixable. I don't know how soon, though, because, again, this is another thing, too, like to go to that Big Ten discussion. Kalen DeBoer just adjusting to SEC life.
Sure.
You know, and it's just different. You're not going to be effective stopping the run or getting after the passer with some of your 3-down looks consistently. Yeah. He needs to make more variations on the defensive side of the football for them to be successful.
I will say, at some point in the game, statistically, they got more pressure on Lenora Sells. On 19 of his 39 dropbacks, they got pressure on him. It's the most that he's had in a game this season, so they started to pick it up towards the end, but they definitely need to have more consistency there because in the first half it wasn't there. But their other rival, Texas, they had a quite interesting rivalry game, Sam. And it was Texas versus Oklahoma. And Quinn Ewers making his return after missing the last 2 weeks with an injury. So the first drive for Texas on a 3rd and 14. Ewers looking for a receiver over the middle. And this is what Oklahoma does, baby. Cause turnovers.
Yeah, they really do. Ewers looked a little rusty early on, but again, coming back, just oiling the joints.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Putting it polite.
Second quarter, Ewers finds his go-to tight end, Gunnar Helm, on the screenplay. He's too big, too strong, does deadlifts, does squats, benches, all that. You name it. Texas is up 7-3, 14-3 now. Texas really starting to roll, and Ewers gives it over to Wisner, and he does the rest.
He was impressive today.
Very impressive. And that's the thing that we got to remind ourselves, too, about this Texas team. I know we've been talking a lot about Arch. We talk a lot about the quarterbacks and the situation there. But it's really the running attack and their veteran offensive line that gets a lot of work done for them.
He had 116 yards rushing in the first half. And then Ewers here hits Matthew Golden on the trick play. Golden hits Gunnar Helm. And that was an athletic grab, guys.
Wow, right there. So, I mean, the day of the tight end right here with Gunnar Helm. I was just going to say that, right? Yeah, Tyler Warren. So, yeah, tight end university coming to you.
Yeah, and Ewers just keeps it himself here. Let the guy run it in, let him feel real good. Texas ends up dominating Oklahoma in the Red River Rivalry. Ewers, not a great game, but a good game. And not much expected for him here in his first game back. What did you see?
I mean, not a great game, no, but he played really good. He played really good. And to expect him to just, come out there and just be, hey, let me just throw all over the park, especially with being out for almost a month now. I thought, yes, was he a little rusty? No doubt. But hey, let's look at how wide open that receiver is that he overthrew there. Yeah. But what I love about it is Sark is saying, hey, man, I don't really care how long you've been out. We are going to be aggressive. We are going to attack. And it's up to you to find your rhythm. And that's what they did. They just called their offense like they normally do. A lot of creativity, a lot of pressure on Oklahoma's defense here. Oklahoma's lack of offense also played a huge factor in this. But, I mean, here's Wingo on a quick slant right there. Good throw by Quinn Ewers, throwing into the pressure right there. Wingo takes off. They score 2 plays later on another long run by Wisner. So the talent of this football team on both sides of the football, extremely impressive. They took care of business against a lesser opponent.
You talk about pressure, and we talked about Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Venables here is going to have to answer some real tough questions. When you look at their rival and Texas coming into the SEC,
such a good point.
And they're the front runners to win this entire conference, maybe win a national title this year, and they put up 3 points today.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that this offseason they're going to be investing a lot into their offense side of the football, whether that be potentially coaching and or the portal, right? Because the future of college football, yes, you know me, guys. I said it earlier. You got to play good defense.
Got to score.
But you got to score points, and you got to get after the passer when you need to. And that is the key for this team. They just don't do enough, right? Unless you're going to play like our armed forces do, right? Yeah. And I don't know if Oklahoma's going to do that. The defense is really good. They played well today, right? But all things considered, it's just too much one-sided for them to perform like that.
I don't know. What do you think, Scoob?
I think they need to figure it out at that quarterback position. But the Georgia game is something else that we had our eyes on as they took on Mississippi State.
Yeah, Dogs were 33.5-point favorites in this one against the Fighting Jeff Levy's and the struggling Mississippi State Bulldogs. Here we go, first quarter. Branson Robinson taking the handoff. He goes in for the tutty. Georgia up 7-0. We go into the second quarter here. Georgia up 3. Carson Beck, good, not great today. Scrambles out of the pocket, finding Dillon Bell. How about the tight ends today? I mean, they just keep putting up plays.
It is the season for the tight end. That's what it is.
Georgia extending their lead to 10. 2 minutes left in the half. Beck finding Oscar Delp, another tight end here. And, they're trying to find a little more offensive explosion there. And the missing Brock Bowers kind of equation. Georgia would continue to put the pressure on. They go up 17. That's Lawson Lucky for the touchdown. Third quarter now, Mississippi State not done in this game. Johnny Daniels takes the handoff, and he goes in for the Mississippi State touchdown. State cuts the lead to 17. Next Mississippi State possession. Michael Van Buren finding a wide-open David Booth for the touchdown. Mississippi State down by 10. Fourth quarter, Georgia looking for a dagger. ETN. They need him to show up more than he has been so far. Muscles his way into the end zone. Georgia wins a dogfight by 10 points. Mississippi State has really struggled. They're 0-3 in conference play. They only have 1 win on the season. And Georgia, their stout defense, gives up a ton of yards to Michael Van Buren in this offense, 306 yards through the air for the quarterback. Seems like every week we are asking the same questions of Kirby Smart and this Georgia team. Can you get off to a fast start?
Yeah.
Can you create havoc on defense? Can you sustain drives? And we're still asking the same questions. I don't know. I don't want this to sound like a negative Georgia conversation here. They got the win, but man, there's a lot left to be desired from this team.
Yeah, I mean, really, where to start though? But 31 points to Mississippi State is just
can't
not
do
acceptable.
That. You
right?
can't do that.
Isn't for this team, right? And the truth is that they're not as talented on the defensive front as they have been in the past.
0 sacks today. 0.
That's unbelievable.
They cannot affect, right, the backfield and get tackles for the loss the way that they once consistently did, right?
This is Georgia, guys.
I understand.
Georgia.
I understand. But you know what? A lot of Georgia is playing in the NFL right now. And they haven't reloaded.
But it hasn't stopped them before, so what's different now?
No, but I mean, hey, eventually, the tap runs out a little.
People are going to catch up to you. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Kirby, hey, he's doing a good job of managing it, but the strength of this team really is Carson Beck. And again, here he was, 36 of 48 for 459 and 3 tutties. He had the 2 interceptions. He had one that was, a poor decision. But this team is really predicated around Carson Beck.
Yeah.
So just keep leaning into that and win these shootouts for right now. And hopefully, as you continue to go, you build some rapport with your defense.
Yeah, 459 yards, 3 touchdowns from Carson Beck, but he still threw 2 interceptions. A little bit of a slow start for him. But it's going to be more interesting when we see how Georgia is going to look like when they take on Texas, because now that's a matchup where I see Georgia really getting an opportunity to show us who they are. You were down 21 points against Alabama on the road, and you were somehow able to put together a comeback and take the lead until Ryan Williams pulled the most circus catch that we have seen in the last decade on a football field. So with Georgia, yes, you gave up 31 points to a Mississippi State team that is not that talented offensively, and you're going to run into a Texas team with Quinn Ewers, who now has one game under his belt. It is going to be a fun game to watch, but it is now time for Georgia to show us who they are, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
Now, just initial reaction, right? Who were you picking that game? If we had to pick right now, this second,
there's no question.
It's Texas. It's Texas. They're just playing better overall football in every phase right now. But that doesn't mean that that's the truth for the entire football season.
Plus, if we
okay, I got one question.
Yeah.
Who has Texas really played? I mean, today was really the first time.
Now, we do have common opponents here. Now, hey, Oklahoma, we know how talented they are, but they also made Oklahoma's defense look like Swiss cheese here early in this game. All right. Now, second half, Oklahoma defense played a little better right, overall. Tough again when there's just no energy on the offensive side. Now, they both have played Mississippi State. Texas, with their backup quarterback, yes, the score was only 14-6 at halftime, but you could see that Mississippi State really didn't have anything at all going on the offensive side of the football, right? Where in this one, all right, a little similar vibe to it, but as you kept watching the game, you're like, oh, there goes Mississippi.
They started to pick it up. The pace went up for Mississippi State towards the end of the game.
Right. In Texas, you didn't get that feeling at all. Like, eventually you're like, all right, here goes Texas. They're going to pull away from this one.
That's probably the most concerning thing to me about this Georgia defense is, and even Kirby Smart has said it, it's our depth. We don't have it. And that's why I think you see some of these teams picking up steam later on into the second half.
That's a great point.
Because Georgia's they don't have people to sub in and out. Here's an update of what's going on in Eugene, 14-12 right now.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit of back and forth over here. I'm liking this.
This is, and again, this was the game of the year. When we saw that Oregon was coming over to the Big Ten and we saw the schedule release, you circled this one big time. And Ohio State, Will Howard, couple of passes here. Quinshon Judkins, couple of good runs. But, Chip Kelly, going back to Oregon there, I think is a fascinating storyline to follow. And I don't think we've really seen the full ceiling for this Ohio State offense. I asked you earlier today, Maddie, do you think Chip Kelly, who has been around the game for so long, has maybe kept a couple of things in his back pocket here?
Totally. All the experience that he has gathered, right? I mean, I know all of us young cats were like, what do these old dudes know? All that kind of stuff. Especially young coaches. This guy's been around football a very long time, right? And even James Franklin, too, today. He's been coaching a long time, and that little special play that he ran today, he's been running that since his days at Vanderbilt. So it's like, all these old dogs, they got a lot of old tricks that they come up and use consistently, and he did that.
And speaking of tricks, Matt, Oregon just pulled off an onside kick after getting some points. So this is the type of game, that's the type of coach Dan Lanning is. It's really going to come down to those key possessions and third down. Right now, when you look at the third down in the second quarter, Ohio State 0 for 3. Oregon 1 for 3. Who's going to continue to execute on that side of the football?
Yeah, and again, the biggest difference between these two teams so far has been the play in the red zone. Oregon ranking 92nd in red zone efficiency. We mentioned it at the top of the show. Ohio State entering this game 21 of 22 touchdowns in the red zone when they get there. So we will continue to monitor this game, but right now it's 14-12. Ohio State in the lead on the road. It is time now for the playbook presented by Modelo. For the second straight week, Matt Sims, we are having questions about this Alabama team with Nick Saban no longer on the sidelines. Unlike last week, though, they were able to pull off the win. What do you see on the film?
Concerning on both sides of the football.
No
we
doubt.
Just know that at the end of the day, this gentleman, very talented football player, right? He didn't play his best football today, but he made plays when it mattered most late in the football game, right? And a lot of the struggles that they had were really because of the errors he made early on. But we have Jam Miller outside here. We have a bunch formation at the top here. Jam Miller lined up in an empty set. We're going to send him in speed motion, right? And what we're going to do with this is we're going to make this South Carolina defense communicate on the back end. With that bunch and with that late motion right before the snap, you could see all the finger pointing, all the directing, all that kind of stuff. What Alabama does, though, is a really cool concept here. They run simple mesh concept, right? OTB by the tight end, corner route right here by Bernard, and then Jam's just running a flat route. So really simple concept that every team in college football runs, but because of the empty formation, the bunch set over here to the field, and then the late motion by Jam Miller, miscommunication here in this 3-deep look by South Carolina, and no one covers Bernard wide open down the field. It's unbelievable in this situation. So formation really confused this defense. The late motion, no one reacts to the motion fast enough. So there should be this guy right here. He should be running to the flat. This guy should be playing the deep third situation. But because Jam Miller runs so quickly out into that zone so fast, everyone gets confused, and we have nobody covering this high corner right here.
All right, so Jeremy Bernard has kind of emerged as a really good second option when Ryan Williams is in double coverage for Alabama.
That's right.
A lot of problems on the Alabama defensive side in this game. Lenore Sellers took advantage with his legs, but here we see one of the better passes of the day for him.
Yeah, and my biggest issue really for Alabama right now defensively is what they're doing is they just don't get enough pass rush. In the past, when we see with Nick Saban and what they do so well, they can dominate the line of scrimmage. They keep active quarterbacks contained consistently. Past 2 weeks, we've seen they have an issue with running quarterbacks. They also just don't push the pocket enough. But South Carolina in this situation, simple 4 verts, right? Simple go route concept. They're going to do a 6-man protection with the back and the 5 offensive linemen, right? And all we're thinking here for the quarterback, really simple read for Lenore Sellers. Pick your best one-on-one matchup.
Sure.
And in that one, all right, that's Nick Harbor. He's a fantastic football player, big body guy. He's alone in the boundary against one of the better corners on this Alabama team in Domani Jackson. But keep the game simple, soldier, and that is take the one-on-one situation to your best receiver. He does a great job going back for the football, getting that toe in, unbelievable play, and to take the lead with only 43 seconds left.
Now you see them here on like the 31-yard line. Alabama committed 2 really costly penalties. One was an offsides, the other one was a face mask on that final drive to get South Carolina into this position. So they go down and they score. 2-point conversion here. They got a chance to send this thing into overtime.
Yes. And this is what I think this is a really good call by them. Initially, when we watched it, I was not happy with it. But we're going to get misdirection here. We're going to get a little speed sweep action going away here. And then we're going to get a simple down block, corner route, and a flat route right here with the over by the backside tight end. These guys right here for Alabama, they do not communicate well, again, with this bunch set. So we're seeing a theme here in college football. Bunch sets really confuse defenses and the communication and who has what in this situation. The key to this play, though, right here, this tight end, he should be blocking down right here on this defender. He crosses face. Now the defender has a free rein to run right at Lenore Sellers to affect him as a thrower. Number 34, who is that, Scoop?
Oh, that's Q Robinson,
Q
baby.
Robinson saving the day because we have 2 guys open right here for South Carolina. We got the corner and the over route on the backside wide open. Q Robinson saves the day by this pressure because we didn't block or down block the proper guy there at the line of scrimmage. But you can see right here in this picture, right? He's open. He was open right here in the flat, catch it, get up the field. And if he had time and it was blocked properly, this over route too, uncovered right here in the back end line of the end zone too.
So at the end of the day, Alabama's able to get the win. But again, for 2 straight weeks, it feels like this team has a lot of unanswered questions. And they got a really tough one coming up the next week, going up to Knoxville, right?
No doubt, no doubt. The identity of this football team without Nick Saban, right? Where is the defensive pressure that we once saw? Where's the intimidation factor for the Alabama defense? It's not there right now. The defense is the most concerning, and then the lack of running ability or patience to run with Jam Miller and Jalen Milroe, to me, is absolutely crazy. They need to run him more.
All right, so that's the playbook presented by Modelo. Thank you very much, Matt Sim.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Time now for Game-Changing Connection, presented by AT&T. We're going to look at some of the best from Week 7. Hey, there's a real good chance this Army-Navy game at the end of the year is going to be for a lot more than just bragging rights. That's Bryson Daly, their quarterback, stiff arm.
What are the 5 fingers say to the face?
Hey, I mean, wow.
Army's stiff arm.
Army's 6-0 for the first time in 28 years, guys.
That is ridiculous. I love watching Army go to work. Just like Missouri went to work against UMass after losing to Texas A&M, this is their get-right game. And Burden says, excuse me, I'm too fast, too furious, Too fast for y'all, man. They would end up winning at 45-3. Burden had himself a day, 61-yard touchdown there on the reverse. Good things happen when you give the ball to 3.
I'm sorry. It's just funny to see Missouri going to UMass to play a game. They're going to UMass to play a game. That's just That's just kind of funny. All right, we always love to show some love to our Maction friends. J.J. Jenkins with the and one catch here.
Yes, sir.
Flag on the play. Buffalo would go on to win this one 30-15. They're at the top of the MAC conference right now at 2-0, but they still lost 47-3 to UConn. So keep that in mind.
How about a little Ivy League action? We're going to Yale versus Dartmouth, and here comes the brand new flavor in your ear. 71-yard touchdown from Grant Jordan to Joey Felton. This game had more fireworks than the 4th of July.
Go Bulldogs.
Dartmouth would win it 44-43 in overtime to remain undefeated. Sheesh.
By the way, you thought we were done with the MAC. Nope. We got some more.
Of the MAC?
Yeah, the return of the MAC. Not when you have Miami, Ohio going deep on the first play of the game. This is the first play of the game against Eastern Michigan. Reggie Virgil with the 75-yard score, one of his two.
Is that the other Gabbard's
I was
brother?
wondering the exact same thing. Is that true?
I don't know.
What's that?
Is that
Blaine Gabbard's younger brother?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know, but he throws it better than Blaine.
Ooh,
that way, Brett.
Catching strays out of nowhere.
Game-changing connections.
Clemson versus Wake Forest. Hank Buckmeyer got friends in high places because Horatio Fields is going to go up there. I'm going to say the 3 words, guys. You know them. You got mossed. Hell of a catch. Clemson wins it 49-14, but this was a heck of a catch by Wake Forest to get in the game.
It's time now for the Mid Awards with your host, Sam Ravech. Matt Sims. And Skubie Mageza.
We have indeed reached the midway point of the regular season, which means it is time to dish out the Mid Awards on the College Football Show. We got a lot of great categories, a lot of great nominees. So, without further ado, guys, here is our first award for Best Upset. All right, so we've had a lot of upsets so far this year. You don't have to go back too far. Go back to last week. We saw Tennessee losing at Arkansas, Alabama losing at Vanderbilt for the first time in like 1,000 years. Notre Dame, of course, that was the first shock of the week 2 game.
First one of the year.
Yeah.
Shocked everybody.
But there can only be one winner, and the winner of the best upset has to go to Vanderbilt taking down Alabama.
Respect. I kind of wanted Northern Illinois to walk away with it. The group of 5, shout out to the underdogs. Vanderbilt, though, first time beating a top 5 AP team. What is it, 1-60 now, Sam?
That's right, 1-60. And Diego Pavia's got people reminiscing about the 2007 season with how many upsets we saw there, comparing it to this season.
And he's the one that should be accepting this award on behalf of the Vanderbilt Commodores because he played absolutely phenomenal to go along with this defense. Great team effort in this one. Just outplayed the #1 team in the country from start to finish.
And outcoached. Yeah.
Love the SEC, baby.
All right, so Vanderbilt, they took the goalpost down. They were running down Broadway with it and dumped it in the river. So they deserve the Best Upset Award. All right, now we go on to our next category, Best Catch.
So far, my favorite. I'm going to stand up for this one, okay?
Guys,
I can stand up.
Who would have thought at the start of this year it would be 2 freshmen making the best catches that we have seen all year long? Ryan Williams for Alabama, Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State. Do I need to say anything else? I mean, those two have kind of been the separators.
Generational.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Williams versus Ryan Williams versus Jeremiah Smith versus Jeremiah Smith. And I got to tell you, you can't go wrong with either one of these selections. They've been absolutely phenomenal so far this season.
All right, so
I think I know what we're going with.
The winner for Best Catch here on the Mid Awards goes to Ryan Williams of Alabama.
Which one is the question?
Well, I think you can go both of them, right? And I think both of them in that Georgia game.
So we actually didn't pick one.
We didn't pick one.
It's unbelievable, guys.
I mean, this one was phenomenal.
Lazy.
The ballerina effort, because it's the same guy, does it even matter?
I guess I'm
Look
going with
at
that
this.
one. That's
Just
the one.
insane. This is the one that's got to win it, though,
That's the
because
one to me.
the stakes were higher.
Yep.
And the steak was well done, okay? Because you see what I did there?
I did, yeah.
Very well done.
Quite literally a steak.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
So you could have gone with Jeremiah Smith, no shade, but Ryan Williams picks up the award here.
Sorry, Ohio State, you lost again.
Neither of those two wide receivers have disappointed. However, we do have a category for the biggest disappointment so far this season, and there's only one nominee. Only one nominee.
Only one? Who could it be?
And the Florida State Seminoles.
Man.
The biggest disappointment of the year, guys. ACC champs, undefeated from last year. They were hooting and hollering about not making the 14-team playoff last year.
Hollering.
They pick up DJU. And,
That's what it's been this entire season, Sam, honestly.
Wild turn of events.
Mike, not Norvell.
You tried there.
I tried.
That was a reach. All right,
tried.
so Florida State, the winner for biggest
Mike
disappointment
Knoxville?
Yeah,
of
I mean,
the year.
the biggest disappointment here is my damn leg. I wish I could stand without these crutches. That's why I got an orange shirt on. I'm like a caution cone compared to you guys. But all right, let's keep this going.
You look great. You look great.
Okay, so it would not be the mid awards, without talking about the team that has just been the most mid this year.
The middest of the mid?
Meaning that we're not degrading a team here, but we are just saying that.
We basically are.
No, we're just saying that you're good, not great. So we got a couple of nominees here. Michigan, USC, and yes, they're on the right. It is the entire Big 12.
Oh, my Lord.
Wow.
I mean, this is a close race if you ask me, Sam, especially what USC did today against Penn State. They should definitely be the winner, right? USC?
I mean, yeah, after today, probably. They're up there. I mean, 3-3 football team, all that talk this offseason, Lincoln Riley, all that. Yeah, Big Ten. I don't know, man.
Who's the middest of the mid? Reveal it.
Yeah. Well, USC in the Big Ten, but that's okay.
Okay.
We're going Big 12. Big 12 has been, you can make the argument that six teams could win this conference. So we're going to go with the Big 12 as kind of the middest of the mid so far.
Yeah.
You just don't really know who's going to take charge in this conference.
Yeah, and we're even at that point right now where if the Big 12s continue to mid up, a group of five could take that first round bye from them because it's about the highest ranked conference champ. And right now, the highest ranked teams in the Big 12 are not great.
Yeah. Okay. So the Big 12 going to try and mid up, as you just said, Scubie, and try
Shout out to BYU though, holding down the fort so far for the boys.
6-0.
Yeah,
that's
good job done right now.
This is going to be a fascinating race for the Heisman Award this year. So let's talk about who has kind of separated so far through the first half of the season.
Okay.
We got a couple of really, really good nominees for the Heisman Mid Award through the first 7. And I think you could make an argument for just about any one of these guys: Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, and of course Ashton Jeanty, who has just been, insane. 16 touchdowns, 206 yards per game on the ground. He's averaging 11 yards per carry, and he's doing things that we just quite frankly haven't seen.
Ridiculous.
What your thoughts on these nominees, guys?
Who do you want to see win this award, Scooby?
I want to see Ashton Jeanty win it. I just told you I'm a fan of the underdog, group of five guy. Last time we saw somebody play the way that he is, Barry Sanders. And it's absolutely unreal, video game-like.
Yep.
Give the man his props.
And you got the Boise State orange on right now, but we know deep down in his heart of hearts he wants to say Travis Hunter. He just doesn't want to come across too biased at the moment.
We'll talk about that, Mark.
We'll talk about it later. But it's Ashton Jeanty. He has to be the one that wins this award.
All right, let's see. Let's see who wins the mid-season Heisman Award, and it is indeed Ashton Jeanty. Now, we mentioned on our show last week there had not been a running back that has won the Heisman since Derrick Henry.
Wow.
2015. So
which is pretty crazy.
It's been a while since we've had a running back, and he is certainly worthy of winning the Heisman Award this year, or at least certainly worthy of a trip to New York City. All right, last but not least, Midi Award for Best Game. Best game so far through the first half of the season, guys. We talked about, biggest upset, but we've had some incredible games so far. Whether you want to talk about the Hail Mary at the end for Colorado against Baylor, right? That was one. Virginia Tech, controversial finish down there in South Beach. I would even add the Cal-Miami game in there as well. But, Alabama-Georgia right there in the middle of your screen. Guys, your thoughts on best games so far this year?
Ooh, me being an SEC biased person, I don't even lie about it. I am. All right, I have to go with Georgia and Alabama in that one.
Just because the Jekyll and Hyde of the whole game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
You were on the edge of your seat the entire time.
Screaming.
Super entertaining football. There's just so many different moments in that game, too, where you just got so excited. Great play all around. That's why we watch college football for games like that.
High-level ball.
21-0 lead in the first quarter, and then Georgia comes back. They take the lead 34-33, and you think, here we go, Georgia, and then all of a sudden Alabama wins it. So let's see who the winner of the best game here on the College Football Show for the Midi Awards, and yes, we predicted that one as well. So
I'm sorry, ESPN again, sticking to our ESPN bias of the SEC being our favorites. Sorry to all the fans at home, but it continues.
And this was kind of the coming out party for Ryan Williams as well, right? I mean, those 2 catches that he had in this game. He doesn't make that catch at the end, that next play from possession when they were down 34-33. They don't win this game.
I mean, this is when the entire nation finally knew who the hell he was, because everyone who was really paying attention already knew that. But yes, this was when we realized that this young man was the best football player on this team. Yeah. And again, shocking that today they don't get him the football enough. It's just amazing, So I don't know. I think we have enough evidence now to know that we should be game planning specifically to get him the ball more. But that's just me.
By the way, did you guys know that Ryan Williams is 17 years old?
17.
Really?
Is that not a stat that we've talked about 1 billion times so far this season?
Yeah, but every time that it's said, though, it still is just remarkable because when I was 17, I was like eating burgers and stuff.
No doubt. I feel like that should have been another category, was like the most mid-stat award that we've had this year, because I feel like there's just been so many. Like the Ryan Williams is 17. It's just another stat that's been dished out. But thus concludes our Midi Awards here on the College Football Show.
It was a pleasure.
Yes.
After party at my house.
Well, you guys who won the awards, we'll send them out once we actually figure out where the trophies are.
Get up out of here.
That's great.
I don't know. All right, so those are the Midi Awards. We are at the midway point of our picks so far this year. Has not gone great. We're still trying to search for somebody to get over 500. Yes, can somebody please, I know we got a lot of folks watching the YouTube chat, somebody please help us out. But we are hoping that we are turning things around here on the back half of the season. That's the only positive way to look at it. Well, let's make some picks for a couple of games later on tonight. And we will start with Boise State going out to Hawaii. Now, our producer, Brian, had to give us a little bit of a layup here, not to put the pressure on Boise State going out there to Hawaii.
You picked Hawaii, right?
We all picked Boise State. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but
let's just keep it simple, soldier. Yeah.
We all pick Boise State, so let's go through this.
The traveling factor, Sam.
Doesn't affect Ashton Genty pretty much. Anywhere he goes,
that's true.
He's running the football. Doesn't matter. All right, so that's that game. Let's hopefully we get a win there. This might be a little tougher. Kansas State and Colorado.
Do you believe?
You see him sit up?
Do you believe? I believe Colorado's going to win this game. I'm just going to go ahead and make my pick real loud and proud. Nobody believed that Colorado would be at this point during the season, especially after that loss against Nebraska. Here we are. And Matt, who do you pick to win this game? Who do you pick, Matt?
I'm going with Colorado.
You don't sound as confident as
I just don't have. I mean, Colorado, you have one job. Stop the run, okay? That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do. Stop the run. All right. Other than that, I'm going with Colorado.
I'm taking Kansas State. I don't think they've played that great so far this year.
Which scares me.
I think Avery Johnson has not played to his full potential, and I think
he's gotten better.
Giddens is dangerous on the ground, so
awesome.
I'm going to take Kansas State to win this game on the road in Colorado. But that brings up a larger conversation about the Big 12 this year, because coming into the day, I think there were 5 or 6 teams that were undefeated in conference play. It was anybody's game, and anybody had a chance to really take hold of this conference. But nobody has wanted it so far. We see Utah lose last night to Arizona State. Cam Rising, I don't know.
Stop bringing him up. I'm tired of talking about it.
But what is going on in this conference? Who is the front runner in this conference right now?
Well, I'm looking at my team that I picked as a preseason college football playoff favorite as Oklahoma State. Yeah, they're 3-3. They've given up 163 points this season. It's not going too well.
Here's what I'll say. As everybody gets to look at the teams that have a chance to earn a top 4 seed, excuse me. SEC, Big 10, ACC, and then Big 12. It has dipped to 60%. You see the Mountain West at 31%. Now, the playoff seeds for 1 through 4 are reserved for the 4 highest-ranked conference champion. The language doesn't guarantee which conference gets an opportunity to have that first round bye.
Yeah.
So that means when we get to the end of the season, if those group of 5 teams continue to win and get a higher ranking than the Big 12 conference champion, that means the Big 12 will be left out of getting that first round bye.
Right.
Nobody expected that to happen, but we are in that position right now where we're looking at Boise State. We're still looking at Navy. We're still looking at Army.
Yeah.
Are those teams going to be able to get a higher ranking than one of these Big 12
Let's
teams?
not forget about UNLV.
Yes, UNLV is still in it as
got
well.
a fighting shot too. Tough loss to Syracuse, but they still have a chance to win their conference still.
Yeah.
I mean, the Big 12 is wide open, man. I mean, it's really wild. BYU for right now is playing the best overall football, right? Offensively, defensively.
Yeah.
They cause turnovers.
Physical. They're
physical. They can run the football when they need to.
Yeah.
Ratzlaff is playing really good football too.
I can't forget about Iowa State, too.
We
And
cannot.
I know that we always say, well, they're going to step on a rake at some point, but no, this team looks like they're legit. So you got, BYU, you got Iowa State, but hold on. If Colorado wins this game tonight, there is no way that we cannot say they are in contention for a Big 12 title.
I mean, definitely are.
And just look at their key matchups. Right now, this is the biggest game of the season by far for Colorado. This is, honestly, and I'll say it right now, the biggest game of Deion's career as a coach for Colorado. Because this is your opportunity right now to show the college football world that you are for real. Nobody else really believed. Your win total coming into the year was 4.5, 5.5. Now it's been upgraded to 7.5. So you will be able to get that bowl game because coming into the season, the goal for Colorado, everyone would say an accomplishment is a bowl game. But now we're looking at it like, hey, it's not just bowl game. We're talking about conference champion. And at this point in time, do we feel like Colorado has what it takes? Because last time we saw them, they were running the ball. They were getting stops on defense. Do you think they have a chance?
I need to see them do it again. I mean, I just don't trust them enough to say after one performance against UCF that's enough for me to say, yeah, I trust you completely. I need to see them do. Last time they were at home, they needed a Hail Mary pass against Baylor to win the game. So
they needed 2 miracle games, right?
I need to see a little bit more from Colorado and from Deion. Scooby, please do us the honor.
All right, everybody, y'all know what time it is. Put the camera on me. There it is. It's time for Live Lookin'.
And we are going to go to Death Valley, where things change when the lights are on overhead in Baton Rouge. The score right now, 10-7. We got flags on the play. Clock winding down here in the second quarter.
Getting a little rowdy, huh?
Look, Ole Miss been on a bit of a redemption tour since their loss to Kentucky a couple of weeks ago. Question a lot of people are asking, is the loser of this game out of the college football playoff race?
I don't think they're out, but they're on their way. I mean, that's safe to say.
It's got to look worse for LSU, though, right?
At home, probably, yeah.
Right?
Well, it's going to work, because of what game?
USC.
That's right. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's just USC has not lived up to expectations. That was a really vicious hit right here.
Yeah, really dangerous.
And the common theme real quick, I know it's not about this football game, but like all young quarterbacks at home, get the hell on the ground sooner. You guys are making these decisions to slide way too late in the process.
That's not a slide. That's like a dive.
No, protect yourself. Do better, right? Do better. Protect yourself. But Ole Miss rushing the football, 20 carries for 121 yards. Jackson Dart doing his thing, 11-15, 137. LSU just too pass heavy, and again, like defensively, I know that their pass rush is getting better, right? The defense and all that, but they give up a lot of explosive plays, and I think that's very concerning for me too when I look at this defense and overall how they're performing.
21-15 Ohio State, by the way, they just scored up in Eugene. But the other thing to keep an eye out for in this game, which is just fascinating, we always talk about the battle of the trenches, right?
Yeah.
Ole Miss allowing 7.5 points per game, third fewest in FBS. They got 24 sacks on the season as well. LSU's offensive line has only allowed just 2 sacks all year long. They have been quietly one of the best offensive lines in the entire country.
Yeah.
And Garrett Nussmeier has been great as well as we continue to watch this targeting call against.
And we know how good their offensive line is, considering how well they blocked against what team? South Carolina.
Yeah.
Because we saw that defensive line absolutely dismantle Alabama's offensive line today. So clearly they're talented, but yeah, I mean, we got guys like Walter Nolan and a few others like Perkins, like this really talented defense, right, by Ole Miss. So they got some players.
I will just say, and we're going to head out of here in just a bit, but the question about is the loser of this game out of the college football playoff. Here's what Ole Miss has coming up. They go to Arkansas. They get Georgia at home. LSU's got to go to Arkansas as well. They got at A&M and Bama at home. So while the loser of this game may not be completely out of the playoff, their road becomes a whole lot more dangerous. And
right, there's just not a lot of room for error when you look at Ole Miss and LSU going down the rest of the season. And I think for LSU right now, we really haven't seen too much of them, haven't had a chance for them to really be in the spotlight. They've just quietly won some games, took a bye week, and now they're back in this matchup against Ole Miss. It is a huge game for Brian Kelly and LSU to win this, and we know that he's the type of coach that can coach his team to victory. Lane Kiffin, I'm still questioning if he's able to do that from just a defensive standpoint, a special team standpoint, overall with the mentality of his team. So it's going to be really intriguing to see who wins this game and how they go for the rest of the season.
Guys, we had a great week this week here in Week 7.
Yeah.
You guys watching on YouTube, you better darn well be back for next week because Week 8 and the well, I didn't want to swear.
Yeah, you should have though.
Week 8 of
you
the college
bring
football
your ass
season.
back here. Bring that ass back here.
No, much appreciated because we got Georgia, Texas, we got Alabama, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
So next week is a massive week in college football. If you got a wedding, say that you are sick. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much, Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, our entire crew, by the way, setting up the media awards. I'm Sam Ravech. Thank you so much for watching the College Football Show presented by AT&T. We'll see you next week.
Cool.